Welcome to a new edition of our show titled Speak of Africa. We thank you very much for paying attention to this show. We started this show early in January. So far, we are very impressed with the number of people who are watching us every day. We thank you very much. Without you, we will not really be having such big numbers. We started this show because we wanted to make sure that you, our people, know what is happening in the motherland. Our goal is to make sure that the motherland is free so that more people in the diaspora can return home and contribute to the development of their countries. For the show of today, we're going to concentrate on Nigeria and Cameroon. As for Nigeria, we're going to focus attention on the 2019 presidential contest. A few days ago, President Muhammadu Buhari announced his intention to rerun for president. The news was saluted warmly by his friends and his opponents alike. His opponents looked at the announcement like a joke. They were just looking at some of the challenges facing President Muhammadu Buhari. Some of the challenges include his record. Most of these opponents feel President Buhari's record is really lackluster. He did not really perform well economically, politically, and socially. Some of them are really looking also at the degree of competition that is affecting the next race for president of Nigeria. You have guys like Omoyele Sowore, who just announced their intention to also run for president without any party affiliation. In addition, former President Olusegun Obasanjo has been campaigning by rallying all leaders to make sure that the PDP and the APC should not win election again in Nigeria this time. As for Omoyele Sowore, most of you know him already. He's not really a new figure. He is the founder of the popular Sahara Reporters online news channel. He has really been unhappy with what is happening in Nigeria. Mr. Sowore has been saying that Nigeria is sick. Nigeria under Buhari is like a patient on life support who needs emergency treatment. So he decided to announce his intention to challenge President Muhammadu Buhari for president this time. And when he looks at it, Buhari is old. Age is a factor. At 75 years old, he is probably the oldest person to run for office in Nigeria. So this time, people are thinking that he has so many health challenges he needs to pay attention to first. So instead of running for president of Nigeria, he should really be paying attention to his ill health. Even though he's saying that he's fine, the people are not really sure. Already, President Obasanjo is campaigning very hard. When we look at the political scene in Nigeria, it reminds us of the time Buhari was running against President Goodluck Jonathan. So Buhari has his work cut out for him, and it's really tough. I don't think he's going to be able to make it this time. So we know Sowore is coming with a lot of new ideas. He's not trying to affiliate himself with any party. Rather, he's trying to build a new coalition of Nigerian youth. Sowore understands that the Nigerian problem is the old politicians who have destroyed Nigeria before. Those politicians want to return to run again and be part of the Buhari regime. If Sowore has his way, all those old politicians will be banished to the ash heap of history. So Sowore has been campaigning. A few days ago, he was in Nigeria at the University of Ibadan. He was really promoting his agenda, his pro-growth agenda, his pro-reform agenda. The youth were really impressed with Sowore's agenda, which focuses on the raise of the minimum wage. So instead of the youth suffering unemployment, poverty, Sowore wants to make sure that they can find good jobs. They can find good paying jobs in Nigeria again. So Sowore has been drawing a lot of attention from all the young people in Nigeria. When we look at the way things are going with the challenge from Obasanjo, it seems as if it will be tough for President Buhari to make it this time. So we are really saluting Nigerians, and we're asking them to abandon the APC and the PDP and join the bandwagon of Sowore. Sowore is a young person, but he understands what is wrong with Nigeria, and he wants to bring change. When we look at Omoyele Sowore, he reminds us of Barack Obama. He is coming with an agenda for change. He wants Nigerians to believe that change is coming. With this, we're going to be seeing the dawn of a new Nigeria. So we salute him, and we know that this election is going to be a change election in Nigeria. President Buhari will be a one-term president. So we are asking all Nigerians to join the bandwagon of Sowore and President Obasanjo so that they can change Nigeria to make sure that Nigeria can be for the young people. The young people don't have anything. They are running away from their country to foreign lands. We want young Nigerians to return to their country and build a brighter future. If this happens, we'll be very, very happy with the results. Next, we're going to move to Cameroon. Cameroon is a country which makes us say, cry, the crumbling country. Cameroon is like an edifice. It is crumbling. Cameroon is in chaos. Once in a while, this country was looked upon as the beacon of stability and prosperity in Africa. Those were the old days of President Amadou Ahidjo. With the ascendancy of Paul Biya, Cameroon has suddenly fallen down the abyss. It's like a plane that is falling from the sky to the ground. When you look at Cameroon, there is chaos everywhere. Economically, socially, and politically, the country is becoming ungovernable. Every day, because the young people in that country feel that the international community has abandoned them, now they have to fight for their survival. The Paul Biya regime has been killing and maiming innocent civilians. Soldiers have been burning houses of people, and people have been dying in their houses. Most of these people do not really challenge the government. So it seems there is a form of collective punishment going on in Cameroon. Biya has decided on a scorched earth policy. He has decided to be burning churches, the houses of innocent people, but the international community is turning a blind eye. It's like the people have been pushed to the wall. When you get close to the wall, there's nowhere else you can go but to fight back. And that's what is happening today in Cameroon. In fact, there is a proliferation of new self-defense groups emerging daily. A few days ago, we were watching videos on YouTube, and we saw a new group that has just emerged, which calls itself the Red Dragons of Lebialem. These guys really gave a run for the money to the ill-trained soldiers of La République du Cameroun. They even shot their plane, and it was a big disgrace. When you look at the number of soldiers who are dying, but the government does not want people to know these numbers. Based on our research, we understand that over 4,500 soldiers have lost their lives in this Cameroon crisis. And over 55,000 civilians have lost their lives in this crisis. A few days ago, we were awakened to the Battle of Bello. Bello is a small town in Boyo Division in the northwest region. There was a big fight between soldiers of La République and Ambazonian freedom fighters. These young fighters were very, very clever. They were able to cut the bridge into pieces so that trucks from La République du Cameroun could not really make their way into Bello. It was a really tough fight, so reinforcement had to be sent from Bamenda just to save some of the soldiers who were on the ground. The guys fought brilliantly. Even though they lost their leader, the commander, Gilbert Ngwani, we look at him like a hero because he fought valiantly and he saved a lot of people during that fight. Even though he lost his life, he fought and died for what he believed in. He believed in the dawn of a new Ambazonia, a new country where Southern Cameroonians can feel free. There will be no more marginalization. There will be no more exclusion. So Bello is just like a sign of the time. When we look at what happened in Bello, it is replicating itself in so many other parts of Cameroon. So when we look at this, we ask ourselves, when is the Paul Biya regime going to understand that militarization is not a solution to the crisis in the Anglophone regions? The earlier Mr. Paul Biya understands this fact, the better it will be for all the citizens of Cameroon. So far, Mr. Biya is still playing an old tape. He believes in anachronistic solutions. Using the military to kill people, to intimidate them, is not working. Even though this leader was thinking that the crisis will be over in a few months, things have really changed. The young people are very valiant. They are better trained than most of the soldiers of La République. La République gets soldiers to train for a few weeks, then they send them to battle. And most of them are just sent to an early grave. So now, sometimes the soldiers are even complaining that there's a lot of magic which is being used by the young boys called the Odeshi. The Odeshi is really giving them a tough time. And so the soldiers don't even have the morale. The young boys, the Amber fighters, have so much morale. Their morale is very high. They want to fight. They are just like Spartans. They don't want to surrender. They want to die because they want to take the fight to Mr. Paul Biya and his rogue regime. A few days ago, we read about the ban of the sale of arms in the Northwest Province, Southwest, Littoral, and the Western regions. This is not going to be a solution because banning these weapons is not going to work. What is really happening is something we had predicted before. In January, when we launched our show, we predicted that dialogue, meaningful dialogue and negotiation should really be the way forward. Interestingly, the Paul Biya regime refused to dialogue with the Anglophones. Consequently, every day now we're seeing more and more bloodshed. So when is the bloodletting going to be enough for Mr. Paul Biya? That's a question inquiring minds want to know. Every day we have more and more people dying, but the people have decided that because the Paul Biya regime is marginalizing the people because of the resources in West Cameroon, they're going to start targeting some of these parastatals, such as CDC, the Cameroon Development Corporation. They're also going to be targeting palm oil, which is also in the Indian area. They're also going to be targeting Del Monte, which is the banana grower in that part of the country. So they feel that by doing this, they're going to be taking the fight to the enemy. They want to hurt their enemy economically. So far, we're noticing that Cameroon is becoming ungovernable. Kidnapping has become the way of life. A country that once prided itself as the oasis of stability has become a country in chaos. Things are falling apart. There is confusion everywhere. You go north, you go south, you go east, you go west, there is confusion. So there's no more peace. The people cannot really sleep at night because there is danger everywhere. The Paul Biya regime has just one way of thinking. They feel that by militarizing those regions, they'll be able to make those young boys succumb to the government's will. So far, it is not happening. The young boys are ready now to die, and they are fighting every day. When you look at the way the Paul Biya regime is really treating these young people, it's sad. Even old people are killed in their own homes. People are sleeping at night. Soldiers from La République du Cameroun get into the villages and kill them. So this is really unfair. This is not really something that a president should be doing. The president is supposed to protect the people. Interestingly, he has since decided to wage a war against the people he should be protecting. Because the people don't feel that they trust the government, they are not even informing the government about what is happening. So the government is just running around blindly with soldiers who are crazy. So most of them just vent their frustrations on poor villagers. When you look at what is happening in areas even like Kwakwa, or even in a village like Kembo, the people have really deserted their village because the Paul Biya regime sent soldiers there to kill most of the villagers. As a result, the people ran away. Most of them are living in the bushes. A few days ago, I was opportune to look at the pictures of some of the people from Kembo. They are all living in the forest. This is a people who were used to living in a place where there was electricity, where there was airborne water, but today they are living in little huts. And I have so many pictures to show you because I don't want you to say this is a made-up story. I have so many pictures of people living in huts. You see families living in the bush like animals. Where are their houses? La République soldiers have burned down all these houses. Even a guy like Agbabala was really forced to come out and really challenge the government because he saw with his own eyes the way the government was really killing people, and human rights activists are also taking notice, but we don't know why the international community is not doing something about it. Do we need another Rwanda? People are dying every day in Cameroon, yet the international community is turning a blind eye to the atrocities of the Paul Biya government. So when is enough going to be enough? That's the question Southern Cameroonians are asking. When is the international community going to come and step in and try to put a stop to the genocide happening in Southern Cameroon? When we had Rwanda in 1991, most of the international powers were saying, this is the last time we're going to experience genocide like this. The Jews also had their own genocide. Today, the genocide is taking place in Southern Cameroon, and everybody is looking and saying nothing. They are holding the Paul Biya regime with gloves, kiddie gloves. Why can they not tell Mr. Paul Biya to negotiate and stop the bloodletting? If this happens, it's going to save the people a whole lot. A few days ago, we even noticed that the people who were arrested in Nigeria and extradited to Cameroon without their will, against their will, for the first time, we were surprised to hear that Sisiku Ayoktabe and the 47 members of his team who were arrested were in Yaoundé. So that was really a surprise because so many people were suspecting that they have been killed already. So people do not even know what is happening to them. Issa Chiroma was saying that they are handling these people according to international law. Which international law is he talking about? If we are following international law, these people are supposed to be given access to lawyers to defend them. But it looks like the government of La République du Cameroun is planning to come up with some Trump charges against these people. Who is going to believe those charges? Nobody. And it is really against international law for these people to be tried militarily. They are supposed to go through a civil process. But it looks like the Paul Biya regime has already decided that they're going to try them in military courts and they're going to sentence them to death. This is going to create even more bloodletting in La République du Cameroun. So we're warning the government to pay attention. It looks like Mr. Biya is an old guy. He doesn't really care about death. But the young people are losing their lives every day. So when is this loss of life going to end? And that's what we are asking the world to pay attention. Please, there is too much suffering. There is too much trouble in the Southern Cameroons. We are asking the powers that be, please come in and try to do something. In the name of God, we are begging you to come in and do something so that peace can return to this part of the world. Paul Biya must understand that he cannot rule people against their will. The days of ruling by decree are over. There is no other civilized country in the world where a president can rule people against their will. The Anglophones do not want Mr. Paul Biya to rule them against their will. They want to have a say in the way in which they're going to be ruled and they're going to be governed. If this can happen, it will really solve a whole lot of problems in this part of the world. Every day we hear about kidnapping. A few days ago, a George Martin Bank was kidnapped in his village, Ewele. If you don't know, Ewele is also the village of Sisiku Ayoktabe Julius. We overheard that George Martin Ben was kidnapped because he was making fun of the Ambazonian leaders. So this is something wrong to do when there is a war going on. Consequently, he was picked up as a form of punishment because they felt he was supporting the government. We were told he went to Ewele village because he wanted to participate in a funeral of a relative. Interestingly, while the funeral was going on, George Martin Ben spent time disparaging, making funny comments about the leaders of Ambazonia. The people were not happy with those words. They were really against such pronouncements. As a result, they decided to kidnap him to show the government that they can still operate wherever they want to operate. So the government should understand this, that they cannot be everywhere. Paul Biya needs to understand that he's not God. He cannot really make the impossible happen. Whatever Mr. Paul Biya learned from Louis Paul Ojula is not working anymore in today's Cameroon. The world has changed. So Mr. Paul Biya needs to understand that we are living in a modern world. In a modern world, there is no room for dictatorship. Murderous repression is not going to succeed in bringing the people to their knees. If this is what Mr. Paul Biya is thinking, he needs to think hard and change course. The present path he's embarking on is the wrong road. He needs to embark on the right road. The right road is peace with Anglophones. When peace returns to this region, then the people will be living in happiness. We love unity. We preach the unity of Africa. So why should we be supporting people separating from a country? It is because of 56 years of marginalization and exclusion. This is why the Anglophones are really angry. In our first show, we spent time to really expose what happened in this part of the world. Why were the Anglophones protesting? Why were the Anglophones rebelling against La République du Cameroun? It is because they are tired of being marginalized. They are tired of being treated as second-class citizens. Interestingly, Mr. Biya has his slaves, like Paul Nji Atanga, who spend time telling the people there's no Anglophone problem, when everybody knows there's an Anglophone problem. A few weeks ago, after he was nominated as the new Minister of Interior, what the Cameroonians call the Minister of Territorial Administration, Paul Nji Atanga started parading the cities of the Anglophone regions with peace branches. Who is he going to be making peace with? Was he not the one who said there was no Anglophone problem? So what is he thinking today? Most of these people are just behaving like slaves to the Francophone French government of La République. The earlier the Anglophones understand that it is time now for them to make peace with their brothers, then we'll be able to live in peace. But so far, most of them are afraid. You have Anglophones in high positions, but they are afraid to tell the truth to their master, Paul Biya. If they can do this, if they can really summon the courage to do this, we're going to have a new future. So Cameroonians need to sit at the table. In fact, to conclude, when I look at the Cameroon crisis, it reminds me of what I studied in literature. We used to say literature is life and life is experience. When I look at this experience, I try to graft it on a pyramid, what I call Gustav Freytag's pyramid. Everything starts with the exposition, rising action, the climax, falling action, and the denouement. So far, we've not come to the end of the Anglophone drama. What is happening now is just the exposition. The world now knows why the Anglophones are protesting. The world knows why they are rebelling against the French-dominated government of Mr. Paul Biya. After locking up some of these freedom fighters, the people became very radical. They were radicalized because they were tired of seeing people die in their own homes. So soon we'll be moving to a climax. So when we look at this crisis, we know that we are really heading to the climax. With the arrest of Sisiku Ayoktabe Julius and his friends, who made up his executive and supporters, we saw that the Paul Biya had really complicated the situation in Anglophone regions. Soon, things are going to move to the climax of the conflict. And the climax is going to be really terrible. We do not want to predict what is going to happen, but when we look at statistics and our knowledge of world events, we know where the climax will lead. The climax will lead, the way we see it, Mr. Paul Biya does not have a long time to stay in power. So in the next few months, people are already predicting before the end of the year, 2018, Mr. Paul Biya will be out of power. So many things will happen. There are different scenarios that will play out. Mr. Paul Biya may die because, first of all, the Cameroonians know that he's very sickly. He has prostate cancer and other diseases. Okay? Then besides, the people in the palace may even overthrow him because this conflict in Cameroon is becoming a very unpopular war. The people don't support it. Soon, there will be no money to pay soldiers. And that's what is going to happen soon. And we're going to realize that Mr. Biya is going to be overthrown. So before that happens, we're just going to be seeing more bloodshed, more bloodletting. As the international community looks on, there is blood pouring in the streets. There is fire. Cameroon is burning. Cameroon is crumbling. And we salute all those who can help Mr. Paul Biya come to his senses and stop the bloodletting. We thank you very much for watching our show of today. And we are telling you, go to our YouTube channel, share this video. Share this video with your friends. Share this video with members of your family. We want people to know what is happening in southern Cameroon. If you do this, you're going to help us change Africa. You're going to help us change Cameroon. And to end things, we're going to tell you, thank you very much. May God bless you.
So I can get my taxes done. You know I'm trying to buy a new house. What's up?
Let's get it on. If you're searching for a house, call up my man Prince O'Jones, the best in real estate. Take it from your guy Shake. When I say his services are the best in the states where it's born, he even take care of your tax forms, fat refunds. So come, get your business done. Consultations, financial organization, fast processing, no waiting. This man is amazing. The Prince.
Code 301-625-2788.